Hi, everyone. We're happy to have you watch this video from the series called Light or Lite in Swedish. The series is a joint effort between two SciLifeLab research infrastructures, which are the National Genomics Infrastructure, or NGI, and the National Bioinformatics Infrastructure of Sweden, or popularly known as NBIS. My name is Renuka Kudva, and I'm a project coordinator at the National Genomics Infrastructure, or NGI, at SciLifeLab. And it is my pleasure to introduce you to the contents of this video called An Introduction to Data Management by Karin Granström, who is a data steward at NBIS. So data management at its core ensures transparency. And I don't really need to emphasize why that is important to research in general, and specifically when it's publicly funded. So during the course of this video, Karin will give us an idea of the basics of data management, move into best practices, and how one can adhere to those by writing a data management plan that encompasses all the milestones of a project. She does emphasize that a well-drafted data management plan is a giant work in progress during a project's lifetime, and that it will help identify gaps in data management strategies that have been thought of, and that will, in turn, help save a lot of time and energy during the different milestones of a project. And this will also help you make estimates for your funding when you're writing your applications during the course of a project. Wow. So this might sound overwhelming, and there are a lot of details, which there are. But I encourage you to go through the details slowly, mull over them, and get in touch if you have any questions, because we are more than happy to help you. And all the links that Karin mentions at the end of her talk can be found in the description of this video. So without further ado, let's listen to what Karin has to say.
Hey everyone, my name is Karin and I'm a data steward at NBIS in the data management team. And today I will give you an introduction to data management. So on today's agenda, I thought that we will answer these questions. So first of all, what is data management? And second of all, go through a data management plan. So what is a DMP? Why should you write it? And how to write it? So first of all, data management is the process of handling data throughout the data lifecycle, both in daily tasks like organizing it, structuring it, and storing it, but also for long-term solutions like sharing the data and preserving the data. So you could really say that at its core, it kind of ensures transparency. It supports high quality research, and it also helps you maximize the value of the data, so it can be reused by you and by others. And for example, it includes research documentation and using terms so others can understand what you have done, organizing your data so it can be found by both you and others. Information security, so not losing the data and assure that you give access to the right people. And of course, ethics and legalization, so making sure that you are following the rules. And most of you are already managing data in some way, but following best practices can really help you make your project more efficient. And one key tool to kind of streamline the process of data management is to write a data management plan, or a DMP. And that is a document that addresses requirements and practices for managing the project's data, code, and documentation throughout the data lifecycles. So from the initial planning until the project ends, but also beyond that. And it outlines the data management strategies. So making plans for how you will collect the data, how you will document it, organizing it, and preserve it. And of course are several good reasons for why you should write a data management plan. And you can kind of think of it as a checklist, so comparable to a pilot's checklist before taking off. going through the checklist, the DMP allows you to kind of identify gaps in your current data management strategy. And identifying gaps early on saves a lot of time spent later. Also, in a project with several members, it's good because you can decide on standards that all collaborators should adhere to. So, for example, regarding how to organize data, how to name it, which metadata standards to use, what vocabularies to use, etc. Writing a DMP also enables you to make cost estimations regarding data production, storage, and etc. It's also a good way to clarify responsibilities regarding the data and the data management. So who is responsible for the execution of the data management plan, for example. Of course, a data management plan also enables well-managed data, and there are many benefits of well-managed data, but main ones are reproducibility, so that the results can be verified, and also reusability, so that the data can be used for answering other scientific questions. And that is a first step to making your data or your project fair. And FAIR stands for findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And the last argument is that a DMP is more and more of a requirement by funders and other stakeholders, and this in terms of transparency and openness. So public funded research data actually must be discoverable, accessible, and reusable to the public. And also in terms of return on investment. So well-planned data maximizes the research potential of the data and provides greater return on investment for the public. The data management plan is a living document that develops throughout the project, and the initial version is written at the same time as a project idea is emerging, and then it's updated as the project continues. So at the project planning phase, the TMP could outline the strategies to be able to estimate the resources needed, and that can then be used in the proposal for funding. At the project start, you can then complete it with more details, for example, about documentation, data quality measures, file and folder strategies, etc. And then at the end, you can update it a final time with, for example, with links to published data or details about where and what data you have archived. So I thought that I would go through the main parts of a DMP, and we suggest 6 main parts. First of all, a part that describes your data. So what type of data will be created and were collected, and also what format and the volume of data. It can also include a part of documentation, so describing how the data and material will be, so how the material will be documented and described. I'm sorry. And what metadata you will use for description of the content inside it. Also a part about storage and backup. So how is data security, storage, and backup safeguarded during the research process? It should also include a part about legal and ethical aspects. So how should data be handled according to legal requirements? And this is especially important if you work with personal data that can be sensitive. Accessibility and long-term storage. So how, when, and where will research data and information about the data, so metadata, be made accessible? And in what way is long-term storage safeguarded, and by whom? And lastly, a section about responsibility and resources. So who are the responsible person for data management, and what resources will be required for data management. And I have mentioned metadata sometimes when going through the main parts, and I just wanted to take a moment to describe what metadata is and stress the importance of it. So metadata is basically data that provides information about data. And there are various types of that metadata. There is descriptive metadata that provides information about the author and the creation date, but also the title of the project. And metadata can also describe how data is organized, so the various samples and the various measurements, for example. There's also technical metadata, which provides information such as the protocol, data type, file formats, size, and etc. And there are metadata standards that you can use to describe your data, but you can also create your own data dictionary. And metadata is very important for managing and understanding the data, and it also helps you to be consistent when describing the data. And lastly, it improves the data discoverability and making your data fair, which I touched upon earlier. It can maybe seem a bit overwhelming to write a data management plan, but luckily there are templates and tools that can help you write it. So usually there are standard data management templates provided by funder agencies. So for example, the Swedish Research Council and Science Europe. These templates can be quite high level, but there are also tools there that can assist you. So there's one called DMP Online that is provided by most universities, and you can check with your institute if you want to get access to that. And this is a very good guidance, and it's more generic, but maybe not as life science specific. So therefore, SciLifeLab also has developed a tool for writing a data management plan, and that is called Data Stewardship Wizard. And as I mentioned, it's more life science specific guidance. So to sum up, a data management plan is a document that describes the data produced in the course of a research project. A DMP allows for well-managed data, and funding agencies often requires a DMP for transparency and return on investment. It is a living document, and the first version is written during the project planning, and it then updates as the project proceeds. I'd also want you to acknowledge the importance of metadata. And lastly, there are standard templates and tools available to assist you when writing a data management plan. If you have any questions, you can always contact the research data support at your university. But of course, the data management team at SciLifeLab and NBIS is also available, so you can at any time send us an email at the address here. Thank you.